Hi, it's Brittany from Empurrium. Welcome back to my channel. Today is a video for the Marathon Society, and we are sewing the Alice from Lacus Design. I did the wristlet option. It's so cute. I can't get over it. I love it. This came together really easily. So there will be a full day of videos for this pattern. There is a wallet part in the pattern too, but I think everyone is choosing one or the other. I don't think anyone's doing both, but I love it. So I used this really cute kitty, bumblebee, and ladybug print with the stripe coordinate that matches. I used some pink blush Ace glitter vinyl from More Me Know. All my hardware is from More Me Know. And then I also lined it in the pink stripes. I used the sublimation fabric that I sell on my website, but I will also be running this print and the coordinate in my Cottage Core Critters round that is currently open. It's so cute. I didn't have any problems making it. I didn't change anything from the pattern other than I didn't use 2 zipper tabs. It's really cute. I really like it. I hope you enjoy my video. Like I said, there will be a bunch of videos in the marathon. It's not my normal tutorial view because my light is broken, so I hope you can still see everything. Enjoy. Before we sew the Alice, I just want to go over the pieces. I'm going to be doing the directional flaps, so my pieces are cut accordingly for that, and I have prepped as much as I can. So the outside print for my flap, I have 2 pieces. I did watch my friend Beth's video, and she had rounded the corners of her flaps. I went ahead and did that. So I have the 2 pieces for the exterior of my flap, and then I have the lining of my flap, and I went ahead and applied Decavo Light with the interfacing piece on that, and I applied my magnets, installed my magnets already on that. So those are the pieces for the flap. For my wristlet strap, I already drew a line, put some tape, and folded in, and then we'll go ahead and sew that in a minute. For my D-ring connector, I went with 3/4 of an inch instead of an inch, so I trimmed down mine, did some tape, folded in. We'll work on that in a minute. My zipper, I'm just using 1 tab on one end. I put my zipper pull on, and then we'll do the rest of that in a minute as well. My front card piece, I put my magnetic snaps on. I have my lining pieces, my main exterior pieces, and then I made a mark on the front exterior so I knew where I would be putting this piece next. So in the instructions, what we're going to work on first is the pocket piece. You're going to fold it in half, right sides together, hot dog style. And we are going to sew. And I had just looked at the seam allowance, and then I just completely skipped over that. Okay, got it. So there is a given seam allowance, but then also some pieces will tell you different seam allowances. So just make sure you're paying attention. I'm using a 4.5 for my stitch length, and I'll probably stick with that the whole time. I thought something was wrong with my thread, but it's just my magnet sticking to my machine bed. All right, and then we're gonna turn that right side out. You definitely want to make sure you've got those magnets on first. Also, The magnetic snaps on the flap, since I have the deck of a light on there, I did not add anything extra, but I did put a little scrap of deck of a light on these when I installed them. Okay, so I'm going to just finger roll. You can definitely press with an iron if you feel you need to. Get some more clips. Okay, just gonna press this down, and then, so with your snaps, that is the front, so you want to make sure you're going right side up if you have a directional print. Well, also you're top stitching the folded seam, not the sewn seam. It does matter because of the placement for the snaps. Okay, and then I'm gonna fold this in half and make a crease so I know where the center is. And I have a heat erase pen, so I'm just gonna carefully make a couple little spots there. And then this is gonna go on the front exterior, and there is a measurement given. Like I said, I already marked that off, so I know where it goes. But you're just gonna line the bottom up with it. And then we're going to be stitching this on. Looks like my fabric pulled a little. You're going to be stitching it on around here, but also we're going to stitch down that center, and it makes 2 card slots. And you can go around and sew it on first, and then come back and do that top stitch if you want, or you can work that top stitch in while you are sewing this on, which is what I'm going to do. So when I get right at that center, I am going to pivot, go up, and then I'm just going to go back and forth twice. All right, so that just created just a little bit of stability right there. Come back down. And then finish sewing this on. This is gonna be so cute. I'm so excited. Oh, and I also put my nameplate on the flap to start too. So little card slot areas. They are bigger than a card, so they won't stick up, but they're also big enough that you have space. You could put other stuff in there too. It's cute. All right, so that piece is prepped. We're gonna work on the flap. So I'm gonna grab those pieces. If you are not doing a directional flap, you'll just have 2 pieces, but I need to take mine and lay them out so that the top of each is facing each other. So like here's the top of my front, here's the top of my back. I'm gonna put them right sides together and clip together that seam, and then sew it with the seam allowance given. Okay. And then we're going to open that seam and top stitch down both sides of the seam. This is a little bit thinner of materials than I normally sew on this machine, but once we get past this part, be cruising. All right, so you want to make sure that you have that seam open to both sides, and then top stitch down each side of the seam. And then make sure before you start again that it is still butterflied open. All right. So yeah, I have a little bit of bunching just because material is thinner than normal. Okay, so there is the front, there is the back. It is the right direction on both. And then here is my lining piece, and these should now match up in size. Okay, and I already put those magnetic snaps on. For all of the magnetic snap pieces in this pattern, the markings are on the pattern pieces. Okay, so I'm just going to match these up right sides together. I'm just pulling a little at that because it bunched up, but I'm going to make it work. It's going to be fine. Okay, so you are stitching down and around, but leaving the top open. Sorry, I'm just having a brain fart. I think you just stitch around the interfacing. Yes, okay, that's what we're doing. Sorry. So your seam allowance is different for these sides and the bottom, but you're just going to follow your interfacing. So that's what is important. When you get to those curves, take your time. When you're doing curves, and like if you're hand cranking, you want your needle to be on the way back up before you lift the foot and adjust. It's going to keep it from skipping stitches. The same thing you want to do on corners as well, so you don't get that like funky angled stitch. If that ever happens, that is most likely why. All right, so I'm going to use my pinking shears to trim down my corners mainly. And then I'm going to use my regular scissors on the rest. I'm going to leave the bottom because there isn't really as much there. All right, we're going to turn this right side out and top stitch all sides. You could definitely press with an iron before you top stitch, but I'm not going to. It's fine. Just finger press real good. Oh, that curve is so nice. All right, so I like to just pop a couple clips on. Okay, so something to note when we go to top stitch this, the flap does get stitched down on the back exterior panel, which means that the stitches here for the top stitch are going to get repeated. So if that bothers you, you can find the measurement and only top stitch like for that length. But I was thinking I would just do my stitches maybe like right next to it. I was even thinking I could do like a double top stitch, but I don't know that I'm going to. I don't want to get too close to the magnetic snaps. Was an idea. Okay, so I just want to make sure this is laying flat, and then you are stitching the bottom closed. Same thing with top stitching around these curves. Take your time. One stitch at a time, adjust as you go. It's gonna make all the difference. Okay, so the flap is ready. So cute. It's really cute. Okay, to attach the flap, we're going to take the other main exterior. So the front has the card slots, and then the back is going to have the flap. And we're going to be stitching this on, and you're going to have to make sure you stop at a certain distance. So what's really funny is my own pattern I just made. I have a similar flap on the back, and I had never seen it done. I did not have this pattern in my possession until within the last week. So I was like, that's kind of cool. I mean, like, I tried really hard to figure it out on my own, and then this just goes to show, like, everyone, like, people can think the same ideas. I mean, it happens, and it's really cool. Like, I would love to know, like, the thought process the designer had to get there, because, like, I just remember trying so hard to figure out how to do this on mine, because that's what I wanted to do, and I think it's cool. I think, but there is that problem where sometimes we run into people like, oh, so-and-so copied each other or whatever, and like truly sometimes it just really is like similar thoughts, and it's cool. So there's that. Okay, so I have my spot marked. I'm gonna make sure everything is lining up, and I'm gonna put a clip up here to help keep this in place. And then I just want to kind of check that I am in equal distance. All right, we're ready to go. So I am going to go just inside my last stitch because I don't want to do a stitch on top of a stitch. And I think since it's close enough to the edge still, it's gonna be just fine. Like, yeah, oh yeah, I like it. Just want to make sure you get a good back stitch right there to keep that in place. And then I'm going to go ahead and remove my pen mark. You could add a rivet right here if you wanted to. Okay, so here is the back. Here is the front. So when they are together, this snaps down. It's gonna be so cute. I'm so excited. All right, we have to work on the zipper and the wristlet. I'm gonna go ahead and take care of the wristlet right now because it's just looking at me. So I'm gonna top stitch both sides of my D-ring connector. Again, I made a line down the center and then I folded my edges into the center. So it's just a double fold instead of, well, it's 2 layers everywhere instead of 4. And then I will go ahead and slide my D-ring on there. And then this is gonna go on the front panel. Do we have a marking? I don't see it. Okay, I'm gonna make it up. All right, so if I want this like this, I'm just gonna go ahead and clip this here right now, and then it'll be on there and isn't going anywhere. Okay, so for the wristlet, I have this folded already, but I need to slide my clip on. You want to put it kind of in the middle, and then you're going to take the ends and we're going to need to open them up, matching them together. So like I have a little bit of tape in there and I just kind of have to pull it apart because you need the full width open so we can sew that together. I probably shouldn't have put my tape all the way to the end, but it is what it is. I actually don't normally use tape on wristlets. I feel like the tape extra sticks when you don't want it to, and when you really need it to stick, it's like, no, not today. All right, so I'm just gonna stitch this together. I'm gonna do 1/4 of an inch. Oh yeah, now I'm stitching with tape exposed. All right, if you're gonna tape this, maybe don't tape all the way across. And then I'm just gonna angle and cut to reduce some of the bulk right there. Okay, and then you will fold this seam open. All right, the tape is helping. And then after you fold that open, you're just gonna fold back into the center how you had everything else. Get it all matched up. And there is a little bit of bulk there, but it's not too bad. Okay, now the clip is already on there. It's sewn together. Your seam is hidden. You just need to sew around the two sides with the top stitch. And I like starting right about where that seam is. And I like starting on the side that is clipped together, because you're going to want to be taking those clips off as you sew. And if you were to sew the other side, it would be a big pain. So you can just keep sliding that clip out of the way. And then do the other side. And I always trim these threads before I get back to them. Gonna hit those threads with a little bit of heat to seal them. And then you can decide like which side looks better as far as like stitches, print, you name it. And I really like where the little kitty bees are on this side. Not that you can't see both, but then I'm going to fold it. I have that seam right there. And then you're just going to want to make sure you do several back stitches to secure that. Okay. So there is my wristlet is ready to go. And then for the zipper. So I already put my zipper pull on, but I'm doing one zipper tab. I need to take and fold my ends of my zipper and seal them, since that is what I decided to do. I just need to make sure that I get them even. I always have a really hard time with the second side. Just like infuriates me every time. All right. So you just take and apply a little bit of heat at a time, pressing. You want to make sure you don't burn yourself. It does get a little warm. But if you just go short blasts of the heat, generally isn't too bad. And then you can take your clips off and check that it's even. Thankfully mine was. Now I do need to trim the zipper down a touch. So I'm just going to make sure that I pay attention to the length of the zipper, that it is going to be out of my seam allowance on both ends. Trim it, and then I can go ahead and fold my zipper tab over and sew it on. Just gonna do a check real quick again. Yes, we're good. Having the zipper tab on one end instead of both is going to allow the inside of the bag to open up a little bit more. All right, so zipper is ready. We are ready to do our assembly. All right, so she gives instructions on how to do the double fold zipper tabs and all that goodness. All right, so we're gonna take the front panel and our zipper, and we're gonna put it right sides together And, all right, I should probably mark the center of my zipper. And sneeze. So sorry. We're gonna put that right sides together. And if you want your words, if you want your zipper to be opening to the left, which is how I usually like my zippers, you're gonna want to make sure that it is facing that way. All right, we matched our centers. Going to go ahead and clip that down. Now you can baste your zipper in place, or you can just keep going. And then I'm just checking that this is centered. And
I saw a river.
yeah, I'm recording.
I know.
Okay, it's a snow day. So I have the zipper right sides together with the exterior front, and then I have the lining, doesn't matter which one, right sides down. I'm going to, I should probably baste on the zipper tab, or wristlet tab, I'm sorry. I'm going to baste this on so I can get these clips moved out of the way. Okay. So now I'm going to stitch all the way across. Okay, sorry. I had to check that there wasn't a different seam allowance. All right, I am stitching all the way across through my zipper, exterior and lining. Make sure you have your needle down when you lift your presser foot to move the zipper pull. Okay. Now you have that together. So you're gonna fold this open, press the seam to the exterior, and top stitch only through the exterior side, so you have the lining out of it. If you wanted to top stitch with the lining, my suggestion would be to only top stitch from the end of your zipper tab to the other end of your zipper, whether it be another tab or the zipper end. All right, so there is the front with the lining, and then we're going to do the same thing to attach the zipper to the back exterior and the other lining piece, but you want to make sure that this flap is folded out of the way. So I need to mark my center again. I don't think I marked the center of that side of the zipper, unfortunately, but that's okay. I can kind of like eyeball and make sure that I have this in the right placement. And then I'll just start here. I'm looking to see that my tab is the same distance, and then I'll clip this on, and if it doesn't look great, I'll adjust it. Tends to be how I do quite a few things, and it works for the most part. All right. Yeah, looks pretty good to me. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and put the other piece of lining. Again, if you want to baste the zipper on first, by all means, go ahead and do that. All right, and then when we're sewing all the layers together, stitching all the way across. Gonna move my zipper pull when I find it. More layers, it's a little hidden. And then just like we did on the other side, we're going to leave the lining out and top stitch through the layers. It's like I have to find them all. So I've got the layers folded this way towards the exterior, and I've got the flap out of the way as well. And then I'm just making sure that that seam stays pressed out of the way, or pressed into the top stitch. It's so cute. I'm so excited. All right. Now we are going to match up our exterior pieces. Ooh, we gotta make sure that this flap stays in there. All right, so we're matching up the exterior and we're matching up the lining. Right sides together. And again, that flap is in there. I kind of rolled it up so it would be out of the way. You definitely don't want, oh, you want my zipper in the middle too. Make sure the D-ring is out of the way. You want to match up the seam. It should match up as long as you kept those seam allowances consistent. And fold the tab of your zipper to the lining. Okay, and then we're matching up the lining. Okay, and we're going to be leaving an opening at the bottom of the lining that we will turn the bag through after we stitch around. Now you're not stitching like these corners. You're going to stitch these straight sides and then just here and here to leave an opening. And then after that, we're going to sew the corners when we box them. Okay. So the pattern just tells you to sew at the same seam allowance, but I'm going to go ahead and take my lining seam allowance in 1/8 of an inch, and then I will just make sure that I am back to the regular seam allowance when I go to the exterior. I just like having a little bit of a snugger fit, more snug, I'm not sure, fit for the lining. I'm going to back stitch a little over that zipper tab, and I am back stitching right on where the lining and the exterior meet, just for a little extra reinforcement. All right, make sure you leave your opening. And now to box the bottoms, we're just taking and matching up those seams so that they're straight and putting a clip. I like to nest my seams. For the lining, I'll just fold them opposite directions and then make sure that both sides are facing the same way. For the exterior though, I do, all right, I need to get where the flap is not. All right, I do like opening my seam generally, but this is a smaller seam allowance and I don't really think I can. So I'm just going to do the same as I did on the lining and make sure that they are going the same way. So on this side, this bottom seam is facing this way. So on this side, I'm going to have it face that way also. And then we're just going to sew sew those. And I'm sticking with the same seam allowance that I used on each part. So for my lining, I'll go in just a touch when I box those corners. We don't need to trim down any seam allowances unless you really feel that you need to. I'm just going to trim a tiny bit off of my D-ring connector there. And now we are good to turn the bag. All right, so just trying to see this flap. I think if I just pull that first, it is on that side. So I'm going to want to reach in this way. And if you try to pull the flap first, sometimes that helps. And then you just need, almost bonked myself in the face. It would not be the first time, but yikes. All right. Sometimes I think that birthing the bag is the hardest part. And it's not even that bad. All right, I'm just pushing out those little boxed corners that we have. Just like baby box corners. They're cute. I like how this goes down to the... This is really cute. Oh my gosh. It's one of those bags, like, the first time you make it, and you're like, oh, it's so cute. Can I keep it? Like, because it was the first one. But then I'm always like, oh, you'd have so many. All right. I pushed my corners out. Everything is looking good. There's some wrinkles on my flap, but I just need to iron it maybe. All right, we're gonna close this bottom, and if you just kind of give a tug, it tends to roll in on its own generally. And this is, I like putting a woven label here too. So we're just gonna make sure we close that entire seam. Put my woven label in. I like to push it pretty far in and then slide it back out. Come on, what are you doing? There we go. I think my bobbin's been running out for a while. All right, and then you're going to push that lining in. Make sure it's sitting in there nicely. Oh yeah. It's adorable. It is so stinking cute. Oh my gosh. All right. I might have made it mildly crooked somehow. It's not bad. My flap is just unique. We'll call it that. I hope you enjoyed watching my Alice tutorial. There is the little slip pocket back here. And there is the lining. And we'll put Donut's ID right there. It is a little bit tighter fit once you have the seam sewn together on the sides, but it's really nice. You could put a couple cards in there. Anyways, yes, I hope you enjoyed my Alice tutorial. Make sure you check out the other marathon videos for the Alice, and make sure you like and subscribe. Have a great day.